Welcome back to CCPS's Digital Learning Day. Coming up next is Jessica Bayless, a PE teacher over at Midlothian Middle School, and she's going to be featuring how she uses interactive notebooks in the digital realm.
If you are tuned in live and want to follow along with Jessica or interact with her, if you go to bit.ly/DLDCCPS, all lowercase, there's a back channel document there. So if you have any questions or wonders for her while you're watching, you can type them on the document and she will be able to respond to you either at the end or after the program if she doesn't have time. Also, if you're just tuning in for this presentation, maybe it's the end of your day, but you want to see what else has been going on today, this link, we have been updating it all day with the videos as they've been processing, so it is chock full of EdTech goodness for you to look at today. So anything CCPS Digital Learning Day, it is all at this website.
All right, so without further ado, here is Jessica over at Midlothian Middle School. Take it away, Jessica.
Hi guys, welcome. I am here to talk about digital interactive notebooks with you guys today. And this is something that I started incorporating in my health and physical education classroom about 2 years ago. And I'm just going to be showing you how I utilize them, a little bit about how I create them. I apologize if announcements keep happening. Our school day just ended, so there's still some craziness going on. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys a little bit about what we're doing. So when we're looking at digital interactive notebooks, a big thing for our SOL content in health and PE at the middle school level is goal setting. And so when we are looking at having digital notebooks, we have these goal setting ideas in mind. And so I use this goal setting notebook with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. And one of the things that I have posted here for you guys is at the end of this, if you want to view copies of both of the notebooks I'm going to be showing you, you can access them via the bit.ly links right here. You'll see the goal setting notebook is what we're looking at right now. And then there's going to be a second climbing notebook that I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. But basically these notebooks I push out to my classes via Google Classroom, and I have previously taught SMART goals as a lesson within my class. So there's been a little bit of knowledge given to my students ahead of time before we jump into this content. And as they see this issue to Google Classroom, they each get their own copy and they're writing directly inside the notebook. And so as they go through, they're given cues, external links, videos, all kinds of things for them to kind of gather their information about what we're talking about. So for example, this first slide is talking about what is goal setting. And they would click on this video and expand it. And this video I think is about 3 minutes long. And they would watch it and then answer the question piece here. And so I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger for you guys so that you can see it a little more effectively. But you can see they have the prompt up here with their directions. A video is inserted, and I'm sure that you could talk with your integrator at your individual school to see how to insert videos if you're unfamiliar with that process. But basically just giving them an external source to view and then having this piece where they have to come back in and explain to me what they got from this external source. And as I continue through it, in addition to posting videos, I also have outside links. And so for example, here, this link goes to an article about goal setting using SMART goals, because that is one of our main focuses in health and physical education. And so we're talking here about, what does this resource say is important? Just getting something outside of school, aside from just me and my voice, and they get to see what other articles and other resources are explaining about goals. And then again, you see the basic questions with answer spaces here. Sometimes kids can get confused, so I like to have little diagrams or arrows included just to help them make sure they're going to the right place. And the other thing that you can do really well with these is you can have sorting or matching or move this around. And so this is just an example of when we look at breaking down our SMART goals into specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. This is a slide where they're all jumbled. And so the kids have to go through and move the items to where they're supposed to go so that it matches with the word and the definition. And so you can really easily incorporate things like this within these presentations, which I think is really nice because it just gives the kids some variety and a little bit different way of learning and processing information, because we know that all of our kids learn in different ways, and this is just a great way to incorporate those differences. And then I like to have, my title slides, and I like to make them look pretty. So then we get into SMART goals and FitnessGram. So FitnessGram, for those of you who are not health and physical educators, is basically our standards for physical fitness testing, and it's determined by a lot of different things. And so a lot of the times I have my kids at the middle school level ask, why do we have to do this? And so one of the things I like to do when I go over SMART goals and FitnessGram, because that's what I primarily work with my students in goal setting with, is their fitness testing. This is a great opportunity for them to learn more about why we're doing what we're doing. I was a why child. I just needed to know why things were happening. Why are we doing this? And once I had the explanation, I was good to go. And so in this slide, for example, they would click on this external link to visit the FitnessGram website. And that's where they could find out all kinds of information about it. And then they come back and they type it in for us here. And so they're looking at, why are we talking about what we're talking about? What are the health benefits? What are healthy fitness zones? They know that they're supposed to be in them, but why do those exist? What are they? And so this is a great slide to kind of help explain why we're doing what we're doing. And as we move through, this is where WellNet has recently been introduced to Chesterfield County, and it's an excellent way for us to track our students' fitness scores, not only throughout the year, but also by grade level. So WellNet was introduced this year, and now we'll be able to track our student data starting from 3rd grade all the way through 10th grade. And we can see where our students were in the previous year, as well as where they are now. And it has a lot of other tools that I'm not going to go into at this current moment in time, but it's awesome. And so once a score has been recorded in WellNet, this is when my students would go back into this PowerPoint and they would insert their scores. And so they would enter their mile time here, their pacer score, whether they completed, all of their numbers. And then they can click on this link here, labeled Healthy Fitness Zones, and respond to see, are you in your healthy fitness zone? And the healthy fitness zone, it's a chart that tells them based on their age and based on their score, whether or not they fall into a healthy fitness zone. And this is all data-based categories. And so once they've entered their scores here, this is now where we get into the goal setting piece. So they've learned about goal setting, they've evaluated why we're doing FitnessGram, they've taken the test, they've recorded their scores. And so now they get into setting their fitness goals. And so we start broad. What is your overall goal? They know that the goal will need to be SMART, and they'll get to that component in just a second. But right now they're just thinking about, all right, I got an 8:10 on my mile in the fall. By spring, I want to be able to run an 8-minute mile. Or the pacer, I got 20 laps. I want to be able to get 25 laps. And then they have to look at that healthy fitness zone again and say, all right, is this goal going to get me into my healthy fitness zone? And so it's just things to get kids thinking, get them focused on why we're doing what we're doing, and then getting them involved and getting that buy-in into why it's important to focus on our physical fitness. And so this is more of a direction slide. It's not really a content slide, but I found that when I gave this out the first year, my students were a little confused on how exactly to go through the next set of slides. And I'll pop ahead to show you that they look like this. So their SMART mile, and then they knew what specific measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound were, but they weren't really sure how to fill in the chart. And so that's why I kind of redirected this presentation to now include a nice breakdown of what each blank is supposed to contain. So they know what their long-term goals are, and now it's time to really break down that SMART acronym of being specific, being measurable. And so these boxes here help them to decide exactly what needs to be in each of the boxes. And so they have this slide for each of their FitnessGram test components. And so you can see that they need to review their goal from slide 9, which is where they put their major goals in the first place. And now they need to be specific. So here they're typing, by spring 2018, I will be able to run an 8-minute mile. And now they need to go through the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound components of what that goal looks like. And they'll do this for the mile, for the pacer, for shoulder flexibility, sit and reach, push-ups, and curl-ups. And once they've gone through and completed this for all of their various activities, this is when we get into a reflections piece of the digital notebook. And so this is where we take goal setting. And yes, it's great that in PE, we're focused on this FitnessGram assessment and we're focused on building healthy lifestyles, but goal setting is not only used in our classroom, it's used in everybody's classroom, it's used in your life. And so this is where we kind of get kids thinking about, okay, we've learned how to do this here, now how can we take this elsewhere? How could it improve your self-esteem? So then we ask our kids to think about some different areas where they also think that they could utilize goal setting. And so things like academics, where they could work on, working to achieve better grades. Maybe it's working on increased tutoring. Maybe it's at home, helping more around the house. Maybe it's in a sport area or an outside extracurricular area where they want to improve. So just getting our students to think about, okay, great, we do this here, but where else can we actually accomplish this goal setting stuff as well? And then my last reflection slide is, how are we going to follow through on these goals? So I have my kids post a picture of themselves in our fun little Polaroid box because I want them to come back to this later and see where they've come, how far they've gone. This isn't something we do at the beginning of the year and then we never look at it again. We're constantly coming back to this notebook. And because it's on Google Classroom, our kids can easily keep going back to it and making sure that they're meeting their goals. They can review what everything looks like. And this is where they talk about, how are you going to follow through? Why do you want to follow through? And then I also like to ask them, as your teacher, how can I help you get there? What can I do to help you achieve these goals? And so it's a great reflection slide. I love reading their reflections because it says a lot about why they want to do this. And I love hearing from them what help they need from me. And then we incorporate that into our lessons throughout the rest of the year. And so this is just an example, how'd you do rubric. And they have all kinds of stuff to go into. Normally I have this fully typed out. I deleted it to save space just for presentation's sake. So normally there's descriptions of what is full credit, what is partial credit, what is no credit. I just got rid of it today for spacing purposes. So that's kind of our example of our goal setting notebook. And this one is very data entry based. And I want to show you guys another digital notebook that I love that we do with my 8th grade Fit for Life students. And so this is all about climbing. So every spring we take our Fit for Life 8th grade elective PE students to Peak Experiences to do climbing activities. And what I love about this is that it's so unique. Not a lot of classes get to go to Peak Experiences and go through these. And I love being able to train our students in adventure climbing. And so this notebook is similar. It's the same format. It's a digital interactive notebook with lots of pictures and data entry. And so for this one, it's a little more complex. So I give clear directions for them to make sure that they understand what they're doing. And then we get into it. So there are many more links within this PowerPoint. And so you can see here, they have a history of climbing where they have to go through and find out information about the questions listed. And once they do this, they get to move on to the next slide. And then they learn about specific pieces of climbing equipment. So here we have history of the harness. They would click on this external link, find this information. And then we get into more equipment, carabiners. And then we get into the rope equipment. And then we get into belay devices. And so they're clicking on all of these external links to just get into this information and find out, why these exist. How many types are there? Why do we use them? What is their purpose? And we do this before we take them to the location to participate in the activity so that by the time they get there, they know what they're looking at. They know what equipment they're putting on their bodies. They understand what's going on. And then we also talk about knot tying. The people at Peak love to see this. When the kids already come in knowing how to tie knots, they're always super impressed. The girls feel awesome. Our Fit for Life classes are separated by male and female. So the girls feel great. They get compliments from the instructors and they just love it. It's a great confidence booster. And then we get into basic climbing commands. This is just a display slide. And then they get into written responses of why is it critical to know all this stuff? And this is where we kind of end it. All the benefits of climbing too. So we go into benefits of climbing. They actually have to go to the Peak Experiences website to kind of go into everything and find out, cost, what would doing this as a lifestyle be like? And then I just kind of ask them like, hey, after you've learned all this, are you interested in this? Is this something you want to do? And it's a great tool to find out, where our kids are, what they're interested in. And they have a lot of fun with it. And so that's just 2 examples of the interactive notebooks that we use in our class. So I hope that you guys learned a little bit about digital interactive notebooks. These are just 2 examples, but what I love about these is you can make them as creative or as simple as you want. They are so easy to set up. They're easy to get out to kids. You give it out through Google Classroom. They give it back to you that way. It's great to be able to just slide through and read them. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Other than that, that's all I have for today. So back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I really love those interactive notebooks, especially the goal setting one. Like you said in your presentation, the skill of goal setting goes far beyond just PE and health. That could really be used in really any subject. And as you and I and everybody else that works for Chesterfield knows, also in our professional growth goals. So it's a great skill to have.
Yes. And I personally was very into your slide design. I was complimenting them. They were adorable. But yeah, thank you for sharing your expertise. And we love how it could go over to so many subjects too. So thanks for presenting today.
Thank you guys.
So coming up next, and our last presentation for today is coming from Samantha Wilkinson over at Bailey Bridge Middle. She is going to be talking about digital breakout boxes and activities that you can do in your classrooms with them. So stay tuned for our last DLD presentation.